Alright, we're working on an '07 Dodge Durango. We're taking off the lower control arm on the left hand side. And what I'm doing is, I've already got it all apart. Unfortunately, the customer had most of it apart before I got here, so all I had to do is take it apart. Okay, I'm just going to show you everything that I took apart and how I got everything out. The actual rack and pinion on the left hand side, I actually took the boot and just brought it forward. I didn't take it off. I did take off the control arm. I took out the spindle. I took off the rotor, all the bracket, everything. I took all that out of there. I took this loose. I also just tied it up. As you can see, I tied up the axle to keep it up. The upper control arm, he took it loose, but you gotta take, you don't have to necessarily take the bolts loose up in there. Let me zoom in there. I don't know if you can see that, but on both sides he took that bolt loose on the control arm. I wouldn't have necessarily took the bolts loose, but he did, so they were already loose. Not a big deal. But you take your upper ball joint loose, basically. You can take that out. You can take the control arms loose. You don't have to take them out, but you do have to take the lower shock loose. Yeah, I took out the actual sway bar link and took off the brakes, of course. But other than that, you didn't really need to take but the sway bar, the spindle, and then the lower control arm. I took out the torsion bar, as you've seen already, and the back bracket that tensions it. So once you get that out, putting it back in, you don't have to do the same thing. You can basically put it in afterwards, as long as you greased and cleaned everything up so they slip together. Once you do that, everything kind of goes back together. But getting it out, I actually used a big hammer on the bolts because they were rotten in there. I just kind of dinged on them a couple of times, and then I took my pry bar, and as you can see, I've got a hook on it. I took that pry bar and pried out on the head. You don't want to beat on the bolts with a big hammer. You just want to tap them a little bit, kind of break them loose, and then spin them with a wrench. I used wrenches on it, ratcheting wrenches. Once I broke them loose with a wrench, and I used ratcheting wrenches on the actual bolts that fit right here. Those two bolts that go through that control arm. So once you get those broke loose, you keep spinning them. You can use air on them, and they'll back out. And then you use the crowbar again. Back out here. Use that crow's foot there and that end, and use the head and pry out against that lip right there. You just pry it out, get them as far, but you can't get the back one out unless you take this boot loose, because you're going to rip this boot. So once you get that done, just use a hose clamp, put that back on there, you'll be good. It just sits there and goes back and forth, but you can clamp that boot down with a hose clamp, and that's what we're going to do. So there you go. I just wanted to show you that, and while I'm putting it back together, I'll give you guys the torque specs and all that good stuff on everything. But I want to show you kind of what it looks like when you're done. I just kind of set the brake line over there. I did take the clip. There's a clip up here behind the fender, and I took the ABS sensor off of the wheel speed sensor or whatever. I took that loose right there. Just pulled that out and unclipped it, and then we'll clip it back in and put it all back together. All right, let's keep moving. I'm going to show you how to clean it up, put it back together, and all the torque specs that go to it. So here we go. As first what I'm doing is just cleaning up the ends of the torsion bar that go to it. I had to use a pipe wrench. If you can see down here, I used a pipe wrench to wedge it back into the slots. You'll figure that out when you get to it, but you do have to take that out with it. So all I'm doing is cleaning these up here. can see that once you lightly coat it, it'll slip together real nice and easy. That's all you want. It's not that difficult. You're just making it easy. We'll check it against the new. Didn't take any metal off of it. We just cleaned it up. I want to make sure that it fits down in there nice. Okay. That's it. Like I said, when this was on that, I took a pipe wrench to make sure that it went straight to the slots because they offset, they torque into it. So you got to break them back this way. Once you break them back, then they'll slip out. You might have to beat them out a little bit, but they will come back out. So there we go. I'm going to clean up the bolts that go to it because they get all rusty and rotten. A lot of dirt in the teeth. We want that, and especially this ledge here. So we're going to clean that off. I would suggest that these things are really rotten, you replace them.